Second day we went to Scrimmage. Went in there on Saturday. And we had family day, and then first day at full pad, second day in the stadium. And I thought we showed improvement from the first time we went in there. And it's hot. It's 130 plus on that turf, and our guys got to learn how to deal with it. What it does is it creates some adversity that we've got to work through, and we've got to be a more mentally tough and physically tough football team. We're a work in progress as far as that's concerned. But I do think we made some strides. It's the last time we were in there on Saturday. One injury to note. I usually wouldn't talk about this, but he put it out on social media. So Caden Jenkins will miss the season. So he suffered an injury on Saturday, and unfortunately for him and for us, he'll miss this season. He does have another year with age-based eligibility. He'll have another year, so we fully expect him to rehab, and he'll be ready to go. He was prepared to have a great year, so really hate it for him, but have full faith he'll bounce back and be a great player for us next year. So, that questions?
Where do you guys turn now that you know that Caden's out for the year?
Well, that's a room we've got some depth, So Chase Canada's the leader in there. I think if you look at, we've got guys that have played college football that are in that room. The competition with Caden and without Caden was going to be intense, probably one of our mostly contested positions on our entire football team. And I think Peyton Taylor is a kid that's really came in here and worked. A lot of trust in him and how he's competed. Keyshawn DeVillis had a nice camp. I think Jaden Allen is getting better. So there's guys there that are going to play and compete for time. And so even though Caden was probably our most proven, and Zach Johnson is the other guy I should have mentioned too. I think missed the spring, but he's done a nice job, had a really good day today. And so Caden was probably our most experienced guy there, and we'll miss him. I'm not downplaying that at all. We will miss him. I wish we had him. But we do have some depth in that room, and I think we'll be fine.
You mentioned last week talking about the opposite spot of Brandon Jones at safety. Is that something that you guys feel like you saw a lot of improvement at and filling in that spot from last weekend?
Well, we got C.J. Coombs and Tay Seymour, Bryce Garza. I think all those guys are in the mix. And so we'll continue to play it out. I'll tell you, kind of like what I tell our players, is really through the 22nd. That's our second scrimmage. That's I think it's practice 14. We're going to play all these competitions out until then, unless it's really clear. Unless it's really clear. But we want to play it out. Then we got guys there. Today was the first day we tackled. In that safety position, especially in the boundary, you got to show that you can tackle. And so they'll have some more opportunities. We'll tackle again on Saturday.
Was Jaheim White any part of the tackling stuff today?
Yeah, he practiced. We won't get him tackled during fall camp. But all the 11-on-11, he has no restrictions. That's just the coach's decision.
Okay.
Not going to get him tackled.
Anyone really stand out in the scrimmage?
Well, I think it's early. I've been pleased with, I think Taven has had a really nice fall camp so far. Thought we did a little red zone period to start, and I thought he managed that well. Nick Osho, a running back, thought he did some nice things. Haygood is really high, really low, and so I think he's got potential. I'm excited about what he can do. He's just got to continue to grow up. Thought defensively, our linebackers, I think we've got 4 linebackers right now that are playing winning football. Z Barker, Aaron Alexander, Seth Roberts, and then Brendan Reese has made a big jump. So I'm really proud of him. So I think those guys, really stood out today in some of the 11-on-11 work.
It sounds like Barker's kind of taking more of a leadership role with this
He is.
season.
Yeah, I think that he's mature. He's been through some ups. He's been through some downs. This is last year in college football. He's almost, like a staff member. He sees things. He has perspective. He really has a heart for helping people. And so I'm really glad that he's part of our team and part of our programs. He's going to make us better, not only making plays on the field, but off the field as well.
That receiver room seems to have a lot of competition as well. What have you seen from guys like Barron Tipton, who's on this team last year, guys like Kyle Koch as well?
Yeah, so Kyle Cook and Barron Tipton are returning. I think those guys are ready to take a jump. Barron, from a size standpoint, can be a matchup problem for us. And so those guys continue to be productive. They really picked up just where they left off in the spring. I thought they did a nice job. James Tyers had a really nice fall camp. You can tell this summer he really got a feel for the offense. He got a great feel for the passing game. I think Corey Milner, he was held out today. He'll be back tomorrow tomorrow. But he's done some nice things. I think Justin Stevenson's got a lot of potential. He's got to do it, more consistently. Josiah Martin, I would say the same thing. He's just got to be more consistent. Grayson O'Bara made a couple of nice plays today. TJ made a couple explosives. So we do. I think that's going to be interesting how it plays out. We're looking for production. Not only in the pass game, production in the run game too. They've got to be able to strain and finish blocks.
Coach, you mentioned Chase Canada kind of stepping up and being a leader in that secondary. He was a guy who was kind of buried on this roster last year. Just how have you seen his growth over the course of this offseason?
Yeah, I think the story for Chase is, and this happens sometimes, he got banged up a little bit in fall camp and wasn't really productive early. And then things are going well, and so you play the guys that are going well. And credit to him, he came back and went to work. Sometimes transitions are good for people. I think a new, fresh beginning was probably something that was positive for him. And he's taken advantage of the opportunity. He's played really well. Played well all spring. He's probably our best corner all spring. He's had a really solid camp. He's tough. And so, I think that he's positioning himself to go play a lot of football here and be productive. Now he's got to go do it once we kick off on Saturdays, but proud of how he's handled it so far.
What part of his skill set really stands out to you on the field?
Yeah, he's smart first. I think he studies a lot. He's smart. He's been in different systems, and so I think he's been coached by some really good people. So I would credit them. He's got good instincts, and then I think the best thing that he does is just compete. He's extremely competitive.
That kick return, punt return room, is that something that you guys feel like you've kind of solidified so far, or is that something that 22nd of August will kind of?
Yeah, no, I think we're work in progress right there. I think, we got several guys that are back there practicing it. It's probably a little early for me to talk about it. It's just I want to see them in some live situations before I say kind of where I think we're at on it.
Is the depth chart kind of taking shape at this point in fall?
I think it's early. I think there's no doubt, like Chandler Strong's going to play center for us. Johnny Williams is going to play left tackle. Jaheim White, Nick Osho, those are going to be in the mix at running back. Receiver, some of the names we talked about are going to play. Now, where they fall, to be determined. On defense, the linebackers, they're going to play. Brandon Jones, Chase Canada. There's some guys that are going to for sure play, but as far as is the depth chart, it moves up and everything. One of the good things about having an older, mature football team, everybody's super transparent with them because they know production is what gets you playing time. And so it's fluid every day. And so until we get through that second scrimmage, it's going to continue to be fluid.
Is that true at quarterback too? You said he's still taking a look at Taven and everybody else you got there?
No, I think Taven, I said this, I think maybe at media days or maybe to you before the season, is he's in front. But Chaston and Chris are both players, and Chris is continuing to get better. I think Chaston is right there, man. I've been so impressed with him, really going back to when he first got here in January, how he studied, how he's learned, how he's competitive. He doesn't repeat a lot of the same mistakes, which I think is something that really speaks to how important it is to him. And so Taven's got a lot of experience, and Taven is maturing and making fewer mistakes, which is a credit to him and how he's worked as well. But I would say he's ahead, but Chaston's really coming on, and then Chris is explosive.
Does Chris give you kind of an option there as a change-up kind of guy, just because he's a little different?
Yeah, he is different. I think to be determined. I think he's got to make some plays in some team situations. He's got to continue to mature. He's got to understand the skill set he has. And then what I'm really pushing him on is just consistency. There's some fundamental things that when he does them well, then he really is impressive. When he doesn't do them very well, he struggles. And so it's just an every down mentality for him is doing the little things right.
Is there anything that really surprised you after you saw your team in the scrimmage for the first time?
Well, we really just practiced on Saturday because we were in shells. I think that we got to handle the heat better. We trained all summer, Tuesday, Thursday afternoon. So it's not the first time they were in the heat on Saturday, but first time in pads. been practicing on the grass, which is significantly cooler on the grass. But when you go in that stadium, there's less wind, it's hotter, and I didn't think we responded as well as we need to, especially on both fronts. And so I'm hoping when I watch the video today, I see some improvement. And the positive thing is we got time. But I wasn't real fired up about how we responded to the heat on Saturday.
And is this upcoming Saturday another scrimmage day, or is that just?
Yeah, we're going to scrimmage. That'll be our first one.
Oh, the first actual
Yeah,
one.
that'll actually be our first scrimmage. We'll scrimmage twice. We'll go this Saturday and next Saturday, so the 15th and the 22nd.
Yeah, since that's going to be your first full scrimmage, is there certain things you're looking for in that workout?
Yeah, I think, anytime that you're going live is when you got to work on some of your situational stuff. We'll have full crews both times. So short yardage goal line, we'll definitely get some work there. Got to get some work in the red zone while it's officiated. If you look at our league, I think in the American, so much in our league is determined by who's able to score touchdowns in the red zone offensively and who's able to hold people off, make them kick field goals or turn people over. And so we'll get some quality work there. And I think some special teams work. There's some different pump rules, so I want to make sure we get that officiated. And then just letting the kids play, and getting the coaches off the field and turn some music on where they can't hear everything they're saying and treat it like a game. Some coaches will be in the press box and just see who responds well to that.
Is that one of those situations where you kind of really see who you can depend on if you really want?
Oh, no, there's no doubt. Yeah, and what you hope is when you go out there for the scrimmage one, there's going to be some people that really stand out, and there's going to be some people that practice well but didn't perform well, in a game setting. And so some of that has to do with anxiety, some of it has to do with they haven't done it before. So what you hope is you're able to recoup, that week, the following week after the first scrimmage, get some guys some confidence. We get in the stadium the second time and they perform better. Now we have some confidence heading into Indiana prep.
It seems like both offensive and defensive lines are some of those experienced as well. What have you kind of seen from both of them going against each other, and especially in that scrimmage on Saturday?
Well, I think that we've been up and down in both. They're working extremely hard, but our technique's got to get better. We got to play through some fatigue better. I think starting on the defensive line, I think we can hit people with some numbers. We're gonna have some depth. We got to win some one-on-ones in pass rush. We got to be able to do that. We got to be able to hold up against the run. And there's some guys up there like Terrell Washington. He's been productive. He's got to be more consistent, but he's been productive. I think Chewy Rhodes is a guy that has really come on and is playing in for us. David Anaha is really been impressive, man. One of our leaders on the team. I knew he could rush the passer, but he's really played the run well. And then O-line wise, I think Julio Madero is a kid that's had an impressive early on. Nato was better today. We've got a mix there that we just got to figure out. Keon Johnson has handled business, so just got to figure out who the right five is and who are the 7 or 8 O-linemen we can play with, and then who are the 8 to 10 D linemen that we can go in and play with. It's going to take numbers early in the season. And we play at 11 a.m., then we come back and play at 2:30, and then we play at 11 a.m. again. So we're going to be in the heat, and so we got to have some numbers to rotate in and out.
So you think for those two position groups playing against a team like Indiana to start the year is a good thing for their confidence, maybe?
Well, I don't know about confidence. To be determined on that. Here's the thing: like it is what it is. That's who we play. Play Indiana. So we're not really thinking about that now. So I don't think I don't think in terms of is it good or bad. Hey, it is what it is. We're going to get through camp. We're worrying about North Texas right now. We get through 2 weeks, and then we'll start worrying about the front end of the schedule.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, appreciate it.